you wake up in a canvas tent. It is the summer of 1859. The mountain air is thin and cold, and the ground under your boots is nothing but rock and sagebrush. You are in the Washoe country of western Nevada. Around you, men are digging. They are chasing gold. This is the California rush spilled back over the Sierra, and every man on this hill wants the same yellow metal. You want something else, because you know a secret they do not. The gold is not the prize here. The real fortune is the exact thing these men are about to curse, shovel aside, and throw down the hill. You know where the silver is. For every miner on this slope, the future is a gamble. For you, the next 20 years are already written. You know a name that means nothing yet, a name that will one day fund railroads and dynasties. The Comstock Lode. Let me set the scene. A ravine called 6 Mile Canyon. Two Irish miners, Peter O'Reilly and Patrick McLaughlin, are working a shallow claim with a simple rocker. Their tools keep clogging with the heavy blue-gray mud. They hate that mud. It jams the rocker. It smothers the fine gold flakes they are straining so hard to catch. Every day they scrape it off and throw it away. You know what that blue mud really is. It is silver ore. Some of the richest silver ever pulled out of the earth in North America. And these two men are dumping a fortune down the canyon. Here is your very first decision. Do you grab a shovel and dig beside them? Or do you play this smarter than every other man on the mountain? Let me walk you through the choice. Option 1 is to fight for a claim on the vein. The reward is staggering if you hold the right ground. But a fast-talking rancher named Henry Comstock is already muscling onto every claim in sight, bluffing about water rights and grazing land. He will put his own name on this whole discovery. Comstock is loud and pushy. He talks his way into a share he never dug for. Then, not understanding what he holds, he sells his stake for about $11,000 and walks away. The greatest mine in the West, sold for the price of a house. So option 1 is a knife fight over dirt. You might win it. You might also be shoved aside by louder, meaner, better armed men in a lawless camp. There is a cleaner move. Option 2 is quieter. You take a sack of that despised blue mud to an assayer across the mountains in California. The results come back at thousands of dollars a ton, 3/4 silver, 1/4 gold. Now you hold proof that no one else believes yet. That is your real edge. Not muscle. Information. You know the value of the thing the whole crowd is throwing away. Watch what that knowledge attracts. In these first months, an ambitious man named George Hurst buys into the oak claim on the vein. He borrows money, sells his California holdings, and hauls the heavy ore back over the Sierra to be milled. That silver becomes the seed of the Hurst family fortune. You are standing exactly where dynasties are born, but knowing the secret is not the same as owning the wealth. You still have to turn what you know into hard assets. So where does the real money hide in a silver rush? Think back to the California gold rush just 10 years earlier. Who actually got rich? Not most of the miners, who went home broke. The men who sold to the miners got rich. Sam Brannan's made a fortune selling shovels and pans. A tailor named Levi Strauss made one selling tough work trousers. The lesson repeats itself on every frontier. In a rush, you sell to the miners. So here is your smarter play. Comstock silver is locked in hard rock, deep underground, not loose in a stream. It cannot be panned. It has to be crushed in mills and cooked to release the silver. Every single ton on this mountain must pass through a mill. So you buy into a stamp mill. You back an engineer named Almarin Paul, who in 1860 built one of the first great mills using the Washoe pan process. While thousands of men gamble on holes in the ground, you quietly tax the whole mountain. Steady, enormous, almost guaranteed cash flow. Then you add timber. The Comstock mines are so vast they collapse under their own weight. An engineer named Philip Diedesheimer invents square-set timbering, a honeycomb of wooden beams that holds the giant caverns open. Suddenly, the district devours an ocean of lumber. So you secure timber rights in the Sierra. Every beam propping up every mine is cut from wood like yours. The deeper and greedier they dig, the more they must buy from you. Your fortune climbs on the back of their ambition. But the deep mines fight back. Down in the tunnels, scalding water floods the shafts, and the heat climbs past 100 degrees. An engineer named Adolph Sutro spends years boring a tunnel miles long to drain and cool the mountain. The men who solve the mountain's problems get paid by everyone who digs it. And you are still not finished. Because you know the single greatest prize has not been found yet. This is the part the frantic crowd of 1859 will never see coming. The biggest bonanza is still 14 years away. Let me jump ahead to the early 1870s. The easy surface ore is fading fast. Most investors have decided the Comstock is finished. A played-out mountain, barren ground. 4 men disagree. John Mackay, James Fair, James Flood, and William O'Brien. For about $100,000, they quietly buy up a cluster of cheap, abandoned claims everyone else has written off. They bundle the dead ground into one company, the Consolidated Virginia. Then they dig deeper than anyone dared. In 1873, more than 1,000 feet down, they hit it, the Big Bonanza. A single ore body over 50 feet wide, packed with silver and gold. one of the richest ever found on Earth. By 1875, their mines are valued near $1 billion. Mackay had arrived in Virginia City with almost nothing in his pockets. He becomes one of the richest men in the world. He won not by digging the fastest, but by buying what the crowd had thrown away and waiting. Do you see the pattern yet? The frantic diggers of 1859 chased the obvious gold. The men who built lasting empires controlled the bottleneck, owned the ignored, and stayed patient. And you know every move of this story before it happens, so you position yourself ahead of the smart money. You hold your mill, you hold your timber, and years before the Big Bonanzas is struck, you quietly gather cheap claims on the deep vein no one else wants. You are buying the future while everyone else mourns the past. But a storm runs alongside all this wealth. Mining shares trade in a frenzy on the New San Francisco Exchange, opened in 1862. Prices leap and crash on rumor and on whispers smuggled up from inside the tunnels. A powerful banking group, the bank ring, quietly controls much of the game. Here is where greed can destroy you. If you pour your whole fortune into that stock casino, insiders can wipe you out in a single afternoon. They pump a worthless claim, sell at the top, and leave the crowd holding paper. So you make yourself a rule. You keep your true wealth in things that produce, the mill, the timber, the ground. You treat the stock frenzy as a small side bet, never your foundation. When the mania turns, and it always turns, you still own the mountain underneath the paper. Discipline is your real armor. Time passes, and Virginia City becomes one of the richest towns in America. A young reporter there writes for the Territorial Enterprise under a new pen name, Mark Twain. Twain gambles on mining feet himself, dreaming of instant riches, and loses. Even a genius gets burned by the frenzy, but not you. You built on assets, not on hope. When the bonanzas finally run dry in the late 1870s, the gamblers are ruined and the paper fortunes vanish. Your mills, your timber, and your deep claims have already made you rich. Let me add it all up. Over its life, the Comstock Lode pours out roughly $300 million in silver and gold. That is 1/3 of $1 billion, in an age when a laborer earned a few dollars a day. In today's money, it is billions. You never had to find all of it. You only had to own the right slivers of it. The mill that crushed the rock, the timber that held the walls, the deep claims the crowd abandoned. A modest, steady share of a mountain of silver. That share alone makes you a millionaire many times over. And you never had to win a single knife fight over a hole in the ground. You beat a whole rush of desperate men without outdigging even one of them. You beat them by knowing. Now step out of 1859. Look hard at your own world. Because this was never really a story about silver or Nevada or a canvas tent on a cold mountain. It is a story about what the crowd throws away. Every crowd chases the obvious prize, the loud opportunity everyone already sees. And every crowd curses some blue mud, some boring, unglamorous thing that turns out to be the true treasure. Your job today is to ask what that blue mud is, while others fight over gold flakes. Who owns the mill? While others gamble on the hottest stock, who owns the ground beneath it? While a whole market is written off as dead and barren, who is quietly buying the deep vein? That is where the real fortunes were made then. That is where they are still made now. You woke up in a canvas tent in 1859 with nothing but a secret. You leave as an owner of the mountain. Not because you dug the hardest, and not because you were the loudest man on the hill, but because you knew the value of what everyone else threw away. So the real question was never whether you could strike it rich in Nevada. The real question is quieter, and it is aimed at you. What blue mud is the crowd throwing away right now all around you? And would you have the nerve to pick it up?